G'day everyone, welcome to Life, Love and the Pursuit of Real Estate. Today we're not talking about life, love or the pursuit of real estate. We're talking about cryptos today, something really different. So I've had some limited experience in it, and today with me I have our IT guy John Scarpa and my son Christian on my left here, and who's also involved in a bit of crypto and a bit entrepreneurial. As you probably have heard me speak, he's got an apparel label, etc. So we're just having a very general discussion on cryptos. It won't be anything too intrinsic or too detailed. These are just some of our thoughts and our perceptions and our understandings of where things are with crypto right now. And it obviously has hit the media fairly big, especially since the rise of Bitcoin and the fall of Bitcoin and the re-rise of Bitcoin in the last couple of weeks. It's taken the media by storm, and especially when you have all the financial papers, etc., reporting on crypto every day, it obviously requires some attention. So I'd like to have a talk about, what crypto is from lay people here, also from the point of view of, is it a good investment, and talk about maybe some of our old investment strategies, whether we need to refine those in moving forward. We are now in an age where there is a less than 24-hour news cycle. So we're being updated on information, hourly, if not every half an hour, and crypto is no different. So John, welcome. Christian, welcome. So we'll enter into just a general discussion.
Sure.
And let's talk. When did it start?
So crypto started all the way back in around 2008, and it's an interesting history behind this cryptocurrency. It was formulated by a character called Satoshi Nakamoto, and he developed a white paper on blockchain technology and a way to encrypt a ledger online and create a secure form of peer-to-peer currency. So that's where it started in 2008.
What's peer-to-peer currency?
Basically, instead of having a centralized network such as a bank that authorizes transactions, it goes peer-to-peer. That, for example, Christian and I can exchange person to person, peer-to-peer.
No one controls anything in between.
Yeah, no one in between has the control. So from an ideological point of view, it's attracted a lot of people that want to see a better way of handling money that gets outside of the current monetary system.
Getting away from a central bank concept.
It's getting away from that, and there's a lot of decentralization. So I think from that point of view, it has a lot of merit, and I've always followed it since it came out and been watching the space. But what struck me as amazing this year was to see it rise to such heights. Bitcoin itself to 5,000.
What was it this morning? 5,200 or something?
I think it was close to that.
US at the moment, it's sitting just under 4,000. So you're about 5,200 if you go through exchanges paying fees.
Yeah.
So they bounced back about $1,000 in a day or two.
Yeah, and that's despite a recent downward trend because of negative speculation in the media. And it's interesting to watch this currency. It's so volatile. So one of the things that I thought was interesting to talk to Michael about, being a traditional investor in real estate and shares or whatever it might be, what your observation is of the volatility of this space and whether people, should be still actively getting involved despite such highs and lows.
From a traditionalist viewpoint,
yes.
When you have a look at, as we were talking about this morning, Google and Facebook and those companies, you have a look at where they are today compared to where they started, and no one really paid them a lot of mind.
That's right. Yep.
And now they're part of our fabric. Now they are intrinsically in our DNA on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Right, and they're embedded with us. And I have some friends that have made millions of dollars out of crypto over the last 6 months.
Yes.
And it's funny how that works, because I think what happens is that there is generally been a lack of understanding when it comes to the internet and general technology and its advancements. There seems to be always a small portion of people that sort of get it, and the rest of us follow along after the majority get it. So on that score, I've always had a couple of qualms. The first qualm, and I used to talk to Christian about it, was, how do I get my money out? Can I get it out of an ATM? If I buy Bitcoin, can I go and cash it into US or Australian dollars? That was the first thing. I also want to know that it's secure, right? And I also want to know whether I can go out and buy something with it. Can I go and buy a car or those sorts of things? Now, without taking too much spiel from him, Christian's educated me over the last couple of months that's now starting to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
what have you seen?
Well, throughout the world now they have Bitcoin ATMs. They're slowly getting rolled out to Australia. I know there's a few in Sydney, there's a couple in Melbourne currently.
Where are they here in Melbourne?
I think there's 2 or 3. There's a website online where you can called Bitcoin ATM.
I think there's one in the casino.
There's one in the
Crown, as far as I know. Yeah.
And then you get just a few others here and there, and then a couple new businesses coming up that really support cryptos.
Yes.
I started to use crypto as payment on Australian websites.
Yes.
But if you go overseas, Japan, China, somewhere like that, your crypto and Bitcoin ATM presence is massive. They'll take payments just about everywhere now in a cryptocurrency form. But a lot of the other cryptocurrency blockchains are actually working on having that payment system done through basically a credit card, say TenX for example, where they will provide an application which will change your Bitcoin or your Dash or your Ethereum. It will convert it to say Singapore dollars, Australian dollars, and then do that whole payment into one. So giving you access to everyday items, your coffee, your food, your Maccas, whatever it is. But then also with that, a lot of your exchanges now you can withdraw your coins or your profits straight out of there. Obviously there's a fee to put in or a fee to put out. So I could have my money withdrawn from say my CoinSpot account within a few hours.
And the fees are a lot less than the current banking fees from MasterCard, Visa, PayPal or anything like it. Like significantly less. And especially that really translates well when you're transferring large sums of money. I know I've had experience transferring money overseas and even using PayPal, and you're running into hundreds and thousands of dollars per transaction on fees. Yeah,
and you can't gift or friends and family everything because they get onto you about that one. So.
Yeah, that's right. So I think there's a lot of advantages just in terms of transaction fees too.
It's the ease of it's the one thing that seems to have struck me a bit. Yes. That you can actually go and is it a wallet that you've got?
Yeah. But instead of having to go, hi, how are you? This is this price. That's that. I'll send you this. You get a receipt. You do that. It's just hey, $10. Bang. There you go. It's a 3-second process. I could have your money for any item within 2 seconds. There's no going here then going there. Even with PayPal, you withdraw your money, but it's stuck in limbo for 3 days before you get it.
Yes.
With Dash, you've got 2-3 seconds, and that money is in your wallet instantly for you to spend. No available balance, and this is.
But where can you go and spend it? Where can I go and buy something? If I've got Dash, where can I go?
So, if you wanted to move that into Bitcoin or into an Australian dollar, right, which you can do quite easily, but you can purchase it anywhere. At the moment, there's a few credit cards from overseas that will operate and work down here. They're being limited and changed as all new laws come in and things like that. But some of your big players like TenX are in the process of distributing their credit cards at the moment. So they've hit Europe now. There's a slight delay on Australia because they're figuring out a slightly different payment system instead of Visa. But all that's coming, and we're just at the end of the line with that too.
So if I want to go out and buy some glasses, can I go buy glasses with Bitcoin or Dash today?
At certain places, yes, depending on how you did it. Yeah.
Okay.
So
but if not, he could transfer it into his conventional
so it's
banking
still
system.
Always spendable. Yes. You just couldn't physically take your Dash right now into any shop you wanted to.
Right.
I'd say within 2, maybe 3 years max, you'll be able to accept nearly any cryptocurrency anywhere.
All right. Okay. I've heard that too, Christian. So what about? So generally speaking, you've got to be able. You have a wallet that's got your crypto in it, and then you transfer it into $1, and then you can go and buy something. So that's how that works.
I use an exchange. So an exchange is something a little bit less safe because everything's kept online. That can be the unsafe part of cryptocurrency, where you can get hacked, they can get into your wallet, things like that, because it's based online. I keep 2 coins offline. I keep a portion of my Dash offline, just in a safe hard wallet, and then I keep.
What's a hard wallet? Like a USB drive, perhaps?
So it's just a USB line. It's like cold storage. It's got no access to the internet. It's not run on the internet. It's not run by any operating system in a sense, so no one can get into it.
Yeah.
And the only other one I keep in like a cold wallet like that is my Neo, and that creates something called gas. Which is basically a dividend like you get from a share on the ASX. So I have 70 Neo in a wallet, for example. It'll earn me a certain amount of gas an hour a day. and then that gas is another type of crypto convertible back into money. But other than that, I leave mine in the exchange because I'm constantly moving them and trading them around. So that, you know, avoids me having to pay fees to move from one to another.
Yeah, and that leads to my next question I had about crypto, in that whether it is something that to make money out of it in this current marketplace, to be trading it on a daily basis, is it like the stock market, or does one hold a long-term view and sit there and wait for the rewards in 5 to 10 years? What's your view on?
Depends on your goal.
Yeah.
Like any investment, you only put in money that, you know, you're willing to keep in there. All the money I've put in, I've assumed I'm not going to need back within, you know, the near 2 to 3 years. Because I know if I keep it in there for that 2 to 3 years, that's because a lot of these technologies at the moment are all, you know, beta. They're not. A lot of them aren't running yet. A lot of them in the process. People are selling ideas. A lot of them.
Yeah.
It's like TenX. They're not fully operating yet. The idea's there, the program's there, but it's not working yet in a sense. So a lot of us are investing in ideas and things like that. So I've got a couple coins like Dash that I always go back to. So Dash is like my Bitcoin. I consider that my safe currency because it's just always steadily holding or rising.
Yes.
Whereas, you know, you look at your others, your Neo goes from, you know, $7 to $72 in 2 days and then back. So things like that, I'll day trade. I don't hold on to them. I don't take that risk.
Yes.
If I do, and, you know, things don't go my way in that trade, I know I've just got to sit that out and wait. So I'm always prepared to hold. But in that meantime, I know I've got coins elsewhere, whether it's back in Dash or something else, where I've still got my opportunity to do a quick flip, or I find another coin I like coming up, I can still do that. But if people wanted to do that long-term investment, there are other coins for that. It's like Bitcoin, for instance. Yeah, it fluctuates thousands of dollars, but it's gained $3,000 or $4,000 this year. You can't justify that as a volatile market, even though that gain is that gain. You know?
Well, it can either be perception-based or demand-based or supply-based.
Yes.
So therefore, if you've got, well, Bitcoin's got, it goes to, up to only, what, 22 million
They're going to make 22 million coins, and that's
as a max.
Yeah.
So therefore, if that's the case, therefore, a certain amount of Bitcoin's rise will be based on demand and supply, and a certain amount is going to be based on perception, market perception. And that's where share trading is, in some areas, the same. So I understand that Dash gives a yield back. It pays back a yield, right? Well, that's like certain blue chip shares that pay a dividend, whether it's the banks, mining, etc. They pay a dividend back. So that's a traditional form of investing where you're getting a return on your money plus the capital gain. Yes. Right? So therefore, but then you talk about these other currencies where really it's purely speculation and perception based. So that's a very different genre or very different way of thinking when handling money. So if you were, you know, would you put millions of dollars in something that's only perception based? Oh, I don't know. I don't know whether that's something I would do. But if you've got limited supply and you've got a maximum amount, then that sparks my interest. Because then I know that there's a point where it's going to reach its maximum, and then it's going to basically trade on its supply availability from other people selling it, which are like general shares in the marketplace. That that sort of gets my attention. So I think for someone getting into cryptos, you've got to be very careful with that, because a lot of the traditional values of investing, like share investing, do apply to cryptos in relation to the baseline of thought process. Yes. You sort of see that?
Yeah, I see the similarities there.
Yeah.
Like Dash, for instance, it's number 6 in your market cap, and your market cap for cryptos today is 137 billion. Yes. That's huge. So Dash's circulating supply, like period, is 8 million coins. 8 million. So if you have 1,000 Dash coins, you earn a yearly interest. You have to have 1,000 Dash, whereas some of your others are different. But to have 8 million coins, that demand and supply levels are huge. So it gives the holder of that coin reason to not want to sell it. They're making money off it. The price is going to increase because the supply of the coin is getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of the first-time investor, somebody that's just come across and become aware of crypto, you know, right now, where should they make a start if they're interested? Should they look at staying with something like a Bitcoin, or looking at some of these altcoins to make some, you know, potentially large gains?
I do my research on all of my coins before I buy in, whether it's what their aim is and what they do, the team behind it, things like that, just to see the type of backing and how long they're going to be around for, because there's that many ICOs now, which has caused a problem in China. So I like to do my research in that. But if you're looking at your top 20, 25 market cap coins, you're generally pretty safe. Don't watch them every day, you'll scare yourself, especially if it's a long-term investment. But there is quite a few there where you do your research. They've been around for years. They've got very high-profile people backing them. It's like JP Morgan the other day. He gave Bitcoin a really, really bad rap, and his top two companies bought a really, really large amount of Bitcoin at a very cheap price. Something similar to what they speculate that China did with Neo and a few other coins. And it's new technology. It's like, say, Facebook shares or something like that, I don't know, a few years ago. No one expected them to be anywhere near the price they did now. A lot of people sold out at a quarter of what they are now. They're unstable. And it's unregulated in comparison to the ASX. So it is going to move up and down a lot more until, Bitcoin does become the number one key currency and stays like that. And everyone behind it has their main reason and goal and their platforms running. So, if a long-term investor wanted to put a certain amount of money into a certain coin or a couple of coins, definitely. Or if they wanted to do that vice versa and then trade with that a bit,
who can start up a coin, a crypto?
Anybody.
Anybody.
We could start one right now.
Right. And are there certain cryptos for certain purchases? Like, are they regulated?
Yeah.
So can you explain that a little bit?
So Manero, for instance, is your most private currency. Bitcoin started off as a bad name per se because it was used on the dark web. Nobody uses Bitcoin anymore on the dark web because it's easier to track than Manero. Manero is now your most secure private currency. You can send, receive, do anything with Manero anywhere in the world, and not one person could know where it came from, where it ended up, and where it traveled through. So every single one has a slightly different idea to it. Some will be used.
And how do you find that out? How do you
through the white paper, as John said, or through their website, or whatever it is. So it's like on the ASX. You have BHP that do these type of minings and this and that. So
that information is readily available to everybody.
So everyone will have a website. They'll give you a white paper outlining their financials, their goals, their team, what they do. Because realistically, they're selling something that's not there yet.
So, but Bitcoin generally is a bit more generic, isn't it? Is it a more generic type?
I think it was because it was the first one, so it has the name. It's got the brand name.
So, but Manero, what would you buy with Manero? What would you use that for?
So, as I mentioned, people could use Manero on the dark web to do those type of purchases to be safer again. So Bitcoin became known because it blew up on the dark web because people couldn't find out who these transactions were coming from. But then when people realised all of the other benefits for it being decentralised, no one else having control over your money, this and that, it started getting used more. But Bitcoin is it's like a free program. Anyone can get your script for a Bitcoin and create that blockchain, basically. It's just what people do with that is what alters them all. So TenX are using theirs as a payment system. They've all got
They've each got their own nuances and different way of doing things. It's the same blockchain technology underlying most of these coins, these altcoins, but each one's offering a slightly different way, one with more security, one with less transparency, greater transparency. Some are focused in particular areas, I believe, that you're trading those coins.
Like China's big banter is over Neo, because Neo provides a blockchain for registering and trading digital assets. So basically helping the startup of ICOs. Now China wanted to ban them due to the fact that anybody can start one. So by starting one, you could, and because there's no regulation, I could raise $20 million worth of coins, $50 million worth of coins, whatever I wanted to sell. But there's no regulation on that. I could pull my money out and be like, okay, great, it's late. So, that's what Neo's used for, which is why there's been so much scrutiny on them by China. Because China want to regulate them or whatever it is to stop that from happening.
So what do we think about the likelihood of the governments allowing cryptos to run? Is there any possibility, this sounds like a really naive comment, but is there any possibility that the governments can come in and try and regulate cryptos?
Well, I think they're quickly coming to the realisation that this is inevitable technology and it's the future of transactions online because of all the inherent security and all the benefits it has. So once they realise that, they're going to soon crack down on it and try and regulate it in some way. But from what I understand, it's something that's very hard to regulate because of its very nature. It's peer-to-peer.
Yeah.
How can you come in and intervene when it's designed to be something that's peer-to-peer and private? So we don't know if they can, but
they've tried to introduce tax laws.
Yes.
So they don't see it as an actual fiat currency. So the ATO doesn't recognise it as a currency at all. They see it as basically a capital gains. So they try and tax you for your capital gains on it over $10,000. But then in saying that, how do you monitor that?
Yeah, I think Michael, you had a chat with me earlier that you knew some people that invested in the early days and made some good money on it.
Yes.
And obviously keeping their holdings in the crypto space, because if they take the money out now, they are subject to taxation.
Yes. Well, once it gets converted into Australian or US currency, you're going to be liable for tax.
Yes.
So, or whatever the currency is of the country that you're in. So the government will have their hand out, I'm sure, in some shape, way or form. And especially from a capital gains point of view, it is illogical to think that they would let that go.
Yes.
Especially when all countries are driven and run on taxation. So and as heavily taxed as we are here in Australia, the reality of it is there must be people in play in government that are looking at these sort of structures and how they're going to monitor crypto that's converted into dollars. There's got to be some sort of monitoring system with that, and that I'm really not aware of. And as I said, I'm a bit naive in this space. But I think from an investment point of view, like a couple of pertinent points that Christian said is, the top 20 or 25 people, or top 20 or 25 cryptos, they'll be the ones maybe to have a look at and investing into. I think that you really probably need to do some background work, like on the white paper with them. Yeah. I think that's important. Mm-hmm. The other thing is that I think we need to watch this space when it comes to government regulation on it and where it's going to go. To be forewarned is to be armed properly, and we need to be reading as much information as we can on it, learning as much as we can about it, and seeing where the investment platforms are. And it's interesting. Christian says, JP Morgan have been very critical about Bitcoin, but they're very heavily invested in it, right? Yeah. That's the irony of the marketplace, generally speaking, right? So therefore, there is always an ulterior motive why people do those things, and whether it's to turn people off so they buy more, whatever it might be, I don't know. But in short, when I hear that sort of stuff, and I see that people are actually doing exactly what they tell people they're preaching against, right, it lets me know that there's always another agenda. And that's the thing with the investment space. There is always another agenda.
Yes.
Always.
Absolutely. And information is critical here. And I think the benefit we have in this day and age with the likes of social media and all the information we have access to.
It's quick.
It's very quick and immediate. Yeah. And, we're even seeing that with Christian. You've just started with a group of friends or colleagues your own Facebook page called Crypto Hub.
Yeah.
To understand. And you're giving out information for anyone that might be interested in learning more about crypto. So tell us a little bit about that group and what the aim of that is.
So, if you guys came together, just created a group inbox, just talking about cryptos, calls for the day, any news we'd found out. This was started by one of my friends, Vanya. Vanya put a few of us together. So there's me, Braden, Chris, Keegan, Randall and Troy. And we've come up with the concept of Crypto Hub. Started out as a meme Facebook page just for laughs at the crash and dips in the market and just a few funny things like that. From there we thought that we could basically put together kind of like a uni lad idea in a sense. So we'll have cryptocurrency merchandise, bitcoins, engravings, teas, little things like that. But we want to be able to provide entertainment and news, crypto based, to help people make calls and not just receive some of those FUD articles you see on Facebook. And then from there we'd like to do like a forum or a VIP section where we have some well-known traders or good traders that'll make calls for the day. People that pay and subscribe to something like that, they follow the trader's calls. The trader gets the commission if he hits that right, and then obviously the people that have followed that call get make their money on that as well. And just kind of like a community for Australian and cryptos. We're going to have a chat group going, just things like that to discuss whether it's a new ICO coming out, a new coin, or whatever else it is. So that's in the works at the moment.
Yeah, so if you want to check that out, we'll leave a link to that in the description of this video below. But it sounds like an amazing resource for anyone that's involved in crypto currently or even thinking about it. So that's a really good initiative there, Christian.
Okay. Well, I think we might wrap this up.
Yeah.
But I think what we can do is we can talk about this further. I think maybe in about a month, we can have another. We'll do another follow up on that, and just hopefully we'll be more enlightened, and hopefully I will be. I will be a little bit more enlightened by then. Yes. Hopefully, being educated by my eldest here, and also by John. And for those of you that have got any comments or sharing, get onto Crypto Hub. Thanks, guys. Happy viewing.
Cheers.